driving experience you've ever felt. It's not about the power, and it's not about the speed, even though it does have all of that. More than anything, this car is an all-out attack on the senses. What is it? Well, think of it as a slightly more sophisticated take on the Lotus formula. If Batman drove a Caterham, this is probably what it would look like. Simple, raw, fast, and very, very exciting. 10 seconds into driving this car and you feel instantly connected. This is what driving is supposed to feel like.
Under the bonnet is the engine from an Audi RS3, a 2.5-litre turbocharged 5-cylinder that's been uprated to make 500 horsepower and 640 Nm. The bodywork, what there is of it, is entirely carbon fiber, so it's light, 750 kilos, giving a power-to-weight ratio of 666 horsepower per tonne.
It's a bit of a maniac, this car, and I really don't say that lightly because it's so quick. 0 to 62, 2.5 seconds. More impressively, 0 to 125 miles an hour is done in 7.5 seconds. That is a Bugatti Veyron quick, and that's no exaggeration.
Although a Veyron, with its soft leather, comfy seats and all-wheel drive, probably wouldn't feel anywhere near as quick as an F22. This thing gets the blood pumping.
This is just raw! Oh!
So, Donker who? Quick history lesson. Donkervoort is a Dutch car company founded in 1978 by Joop Donkervoort, a man with arguably the coolest name ever. He started by importing Lotuses into the Netherlands, but annoyed they weren't strictly road legal, began building his own extreme, but European legal, alternatives. Like their British inspiration, Donkervoorts are all about lightness, purity, and establishing a connection between driver and car.
Let's talk about the name of the Donkervoort F22. It is not, in fact, named after an American fighter jet. It's actually named after the managing director, Dennis Donkervoort's kid, who's called Philippa, and who was born in the year 2022. Interestingly, the company's next car is called the P24. That one is named after another one of their children, Phoebe, who was born in the year 2024. Let's talk about this car's design now. It is very, very striking. It's got this incredibly long bonnet and a very cab-backward design to the point where you're actually sat almost on top of the rear axle. It's incredibly striking. They've also got this open wheel design, so the front wheel is almost completely exposed and the rear wheels are completely covered. Donkervoort have an obsession with carbon, so everything on the car is carbon fiber. Lovely carbon fiber bodywork. Also, some of it is exposed, particularly at the front and just down here on the wheel arch. Even the housing of the LED headlights are carbon and have this lovely F22 detail in the middle. Now, let's discuss rubber. These are from Nankang. These are CRX Sport Necks. You might be wondering why Donkervoort didn't go for something from the likes of Michelin or Pirelli. The reason for that is that Pirelli and Michelin don't have a compound designed for a car as light as this. They wouldn't have quite enough weight on the rubber to generate the heat and grip required. So they went to Nankang and requested they create a compound specifically for this car. And they did it.
Other notable design tweaks include carbon mirrors, a side exit exhaust, but only on one side, muscular rear haunches, and, believe it or not, quite a decent amount of room in the boot. Enough for a case containing a hardtop and a whole lot more. The most exciting external addition though has to be these dihedral doors, which look absolutely sensational.
The interior is about as simple and minimalist as it gets, and the obsession with carbon fiber continues in here as well. You can see it here on the doors, on the bottom and on the top, on the upper level of the dashboard, on the lower section of the dashboard, on the center console, on the steering wheel, and on the seats, which are supplied by Recaro. The level of padding on the seats is fascinating as well. Where they don't require it, they don't use padding, again, to minimize weight.
You've got a 6-point harness, no standard seatbelt is available in this car, and they do really hold you in place. Very snug, fantastic seats. The steering wheel itself is a circle, which is a novelty in today's age, also very small and feels very good in your hands. It does have the usual controls, including a horn, which is on a button. You've also got buttons for your indicator, buttons for flashing your lights, a little P button for pass just there, and also the separate controls for your lights and also your wipers. In-car entertainment in this vehicle is non-existent. The vehicle itself is the entertainment. However, if you want a sat-nav, you can get yourself an iPad mini installed on top of the dashboard on this fancy little holder just here. We don't have the mini today, but we do have the holder installed, and it can be angled towards the driver and does feature this USB cable for keeping your device topped up. Now, on the center console, there are maybe more controls than you might expect. It does have heating, it does have aircon, although I haven't used it, and it does have heated seats, although I haven't actually tried that today because I haven't needed it. It's been so hot inside this car. We've also got a heated windscreen, and then down here, separate 3D printed controls for adjusting your suspension stiffness from 0 to 5. They're all stiff, and also a 5-stage traction control system. 0 is off, it's drift mode. 1 and 2 is for using slicks or semi-slicks on track. 3 and 4 is used for the road, and 5 is used for the wet, although in the wet, on these semi-slicks, it isn't really giving you much intervention when you're sliding about.
Here's what you need to know about driving a Donkervoort F22. Everything you do, you feel. The steering wheel is alive in your hands, it's fizzing with feedback. Not in a bad way, it's not trying to wrestle control from you. A lot of cars do that. This, it's working with you. I love the shape of the wheel as well. It's so small and it's a proper circle, just the way steering wheels are supposed to be. Oh. And then there's the gear shift, which is magnificent. It's constantly vibrating in your hands. It's hot to the touch. Hey, yo, I'm gonna stop there. But, in fact, I won't stop there because it feels amazing in the hands. It's got such a short throw to the point where shifting gears feels as if you're operating a rifle bolt. Just feels intense. You can even flat shift as well. Basically, you can keep your foot flat to the accelerator, dip the clutch, and then shift gears without the car missing a beat. The idea is that it cuts the ignition, but keeps the turbo spooled up to minimize the time between gear shifts. It feels massively unnatural to begin with, but when you do it, it's so exciting. The transmission actually has an auto blip feature. It blips the throttle, raises the revs to the appropriate level when you're in sport mode automatically. But the pedal box is really cool. You can easily do it yourself, and that's part of the charm. The brakes, as standard, you don't get ABS. So if you brake too hard, you will lock up. This particular car is fitted with racing ABS, which means you do get some assistance, but the wheels still do lock up if you're not careful, which means you gotta be on your game. The throttle response and the engine response, it's so instant. It is turbocharged, so there's a little bit of lag below, let's say, 2,500 RPM. Not loads, but a tiny bit. Above that though, it is off and it is just so willing to respond to anything you want of it. In fact, it's so responsive, you gotta be really careful applying the throttle out of corners because, yeah, you can light up those back wheels in an instant. Let's go. The sound is just nuts as well. The engine in the RS3 has a delightful note to it, but a lot of it is quite suppressed, so you don't end up hearing the full chat. However, in this, yeah, you hear everything that engine's talking about. You hear the whistle from the turbos when you lift off. Oh, yes. And you also hear the fact that it's a side exhaust. The sound only comes from the right-hand side, which is so unique. Most cars have the sound coming from the middle of the rear, but in this, it's all over there in your right ear. What's really cool as well is when you go past the wall or something and the sound is echoing off that side back over to the other side. It sounds tremendous, especially because you got the roof down. Yes. The suspension, as I said, is completely adjustable, and you can do it from this knob on the center console, but honestly, it feels firm almost no matter what mode you're in. I do recommend leaving it in the most forgiving mode though, because on these British B roads, you need every bit of compliance you can get. The car's suspension does feel surprisingly organic though. You can feel and see it moving with the road, especially because you've got this open wheel design. The bonnet seems to rise at a different rate to the wheel. So you get to actively see what the car's doing in terms of pitch and roll and dive. It will light up those rear tyres if you get a little bit too feisty coming out of a bend.
With its exposed front wheels, this might be about as close as you'll get to driving a Formula 1 car on the road. And I don't say that lightly, especially when you consider the chassis. Underneath the mad bodywork is a hybrid of tubular steel aluminium and Donkervoort's bespoke carbon fiber X-Core technology, which we're told is used to create parts seen in real Formula 1 cars. It results in an incredibly stiff chassis, making for terrific handling. But that's not the only thing that's stiff.
Let me show you how much work is required to do a three-point turn. So, we'll chuck it in here, into reverse, and look how heavy that is. That is a lot of work. Back into first gear. Now, Donkervoort say this particular car has the optional £6,500 power steering system. But let me tell you, it is still extremely, extremely heavy. Oh, it's amazing because they say that it will be even harder to do that simple maneuver without the power steering assistance installed because of a couple of factors. One of which is the fact that you're using semi-slicks which have a lot of grip, so they struggle to move across the road. And the second factor is that they run the tyre pressures extremely low in this car because of the low weight. 17 PSI, that's just ridiculous. It's basically like driving with a flat tyre.
And then there's the practical issue of what to do when the weather changes and the heavens open.
If it does rain, the first thing you'll need to do is pull over immediately because semi-slicks in the wet are not a great idea. But luckily, the F22 does actually have a clip-on roof. And to put it on, there's a very particular sequence you have to follow. First of all, open the boot, grab this very fetching leather Donkervoort bag. Here we go, look at that. That's very couture, isn't it? Put it up here on the deck, open it up, and then grab yourself one of 3 separate carbon fiber pieces. Now this bit is for the middle, so we don't need that yet. It's a bit complicated. We need the top. Here we go, right. Bear with me, caller. There we go, that's the first bit we need. Then we head over here, we open the door, we pray we've got the correct bit, and I think we do, and it's that way. You put it like that, somehow, there we go. You push that, push that, and then you slam it. Then you grab the middle bit, but not before removing this decorative carbon fiber panel. You grab that, you put it right in there, in it goes. Meanwhile, I'm not soaked in the slightest. See, a normal car would have some sort of electrical roof, and you'd be doing this in like 15 seconds, but, oh, I've got to open the door. My bad. Right, okay, see, it's a learning curve. Open the door, then run back. All while you're completely dry. Then you put the roof centre bit in the middle. Then you slam it. Great, now we're moving, progress, and I'm still dry. Then you grab the left-hand side and return to the left door. Make sure you got it the right way around. Put that in there. Push that. Push that. Push that. Slam that. Run around. Slam that. And it's perfect. And actually, that is a good looking roof. If you get a close look at these little sections here, it's almost like you've got a little spoiler. Very cool. And me, very wet.
It's slightly awkward to live with, I'll admit, But there's something quite charming about having to exert yourself to get the best of a sports car.
It's just so physical, man. My arms are getting a workout from the steering wheel and from the gear shifter. My left leg's getting a workout from the heavy clutch. I swear to God, when I get out of this car, my left leg is going to be twice the size of my right leg. And I am just hot. It's actually a cool day today, but I don't need to wear my jacket because the blood is pumping. In a world full of filters, the F22 is raw signal. Most cars are designed to isolate you. This exposes you. Even on a slow 30-mile-an-hour road, this thing is just exciting to drive. It makes you feel alive. Your brain is firing, your eyes are on stalks, your heart rate is elevated. It's not the easiest car in the world to drive, or the most comfortable, or the most practical. Well, the F22 makes you feel every inch of the tarmac. Excitement like this might not come cheap, but it is worth every single penny.